India has this unique another problem. You are having 5 smokes a day or you are having 2 Red Bulls a day and tomorrow morning, wow, every day some actor is coming and telling you this is great for you, this is great for you. I am aspiring to consume that because I have to sell a dairy milk for 10 rupees if I am playing the volume game, if I am Cadbury, right? So at 10 rupees I can't give you milk. So I give you sugar and I give you vegetable oil. So we are an ecosystem which is a challenged ecosystem from a health perspective. On top of that, we are now surrounded by food. We have another problem in India. Our country does not support health. I will do anything but non-compromise on my 8 hours of sleep. Every extra 1 kg of weight that you have, its impact on your legs go up. So I think the most important thing they need to do is they have to change their belief system. If I believe that my death is destiny, I will not treat my body as a temple. I will sleep when I die. If you don't sleep, you will die.
Hello. Before we get started with this episode, I quickly wanted to share that we are now a part of the Zerodha Media Network. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome to the Indian Silicon Valley podcast. I'm your host Jivraj, and today I have with me an incredibly fascinating guest. Today's guest is an influencer in health, but comes with a whirlwind of 3 decades of experience from the world of business, public market investing, and is also currently a managing director at Everstone in private equity. He has some of the best content when it comes to educating India in health, fitness, sleep, and multiple other facets. I'm 100% sure that you've seen his content already, and I couldn't be more delighted to welcome Mr. Prashant Desai on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be here.
That means a lot coming from you, Prashant. I've had the pleasure of observing your content as a consumer. I've had the pleasure of listening from common friends about the incredible work that you do. And leading up to the episode, as I was preparing as well, the worm of experiences that you've had, the learnings, the number of experiences that you've gone through just seems so fascinating that I can't wait to decode many of them on this conversation. Why I wanted to have a conversation with you to begin with was because you combine so many things that usually other people don't have the privilege of combining, whether it means business, investing, and then health, which fundamentally drives our bodies. I want to understand with you at the very start what matters to you and why. This is that Stanford question that a lot of people have to answer early on. But with the experience that you have, I'd love to know what is it in your life that truly matters to you right now and where do you focus most of your energy? I think that'll be a great start, and then we can go into a lot of deeper things.
Yeah, it's a very deep question, what matters most. So I, very early on, I think in 2018 or 19, I did a course on flow with Stephen Kotler. And flow, as you know, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi said that flow is an optimal state of consciousness where we perform our best and we feel our best. And I was among the early ones from India to do that course, very intense. And the first exercise they made us do was to identify your top 5 activity values, which basically means that when I will ask you, Jivraj, what are the values that you value, and you will talk about integrity, honesty, whatever, right? Here it was nothing about that. It was all about activity value. What is the activity that you do that gives you the most value? What he told us is, what are the activity that you do that gives you most value, happiness, whichever way you want to put it out, right? And when I did that exercise, so to answer your question, there are 5 things that gives me immense value. And for me, value includes happiness per se. Number 1, incidentally, is not my family or anything like that. For me, it is work. And I absolutely love my work. I often hear a lot of my fellow content guys, including Sharan, has an entire workshop dedicated to how to retire early. And I keep joking with him also, and generally also, I don't want to retire. If I have my wish, I want to die working. So for me, that's my number 1 priority or value, you can say. Number 2 is learning for me. I like to know things around the world which I don't know. So I do a lot of courses. I travel to a lot of countries all over the world, just trying to seek knowledge, learn in things that I am interested in, which I don't know. Learning is my second value system. Third, of course, is spending time with my friends and my family. Both matter equally to me. Fourth will be interesting, is sleep. So I will do anything but non-compromise on my 8 hours of sleep. I will do everything in my right to ensure that I will avoid partying, I will avoid going to functions, but I need my 8 hours of sleep, except exceptional kind of circumstances. And fifth, as I say, is something that I am now embarked on a journey, is to give back. How do you make the world a better place than you inherited? And my purpose is to make India fitter. Whether it's my content or a lot of other things that I am intending to do. So these are my 5 things that give me value. So that's how I would probably answer. Then one thing that kind of gives me happiness or satisfaction.
No, that's absolutely lovely, and I'm so glad we started on that tonality. Awesome. I'm glad that we started at the note of flow, because that's such a fundamental thing, and I think it gets missed very often. Coming to what you currently do and are most prolifically known for, spreading massive scale awareness on health in the country. What can you tell us about what is broken in the ecosystem before we go into how you got started, what motivated you to get here, your own lifestyle? I would love to know the scale of the problem that we're dealing at and why this mission matters to you.
Yeah, for me, the mission is a lot more personal, which is why I got into this in a deeper way. I lost my father when I was 7 years old to a disease of heart. He was 37 at that point of time. And I know what that death has done to me and my brother and my family. When you lose a father very early on, you're like dying a death from 1,000 cuts every single day. Most people will love their childhood. When I say best time, so you will think of your childhood. For us, it's the worst time. If there is a memory that my brother and I want to erase from our life, it's our childhood. Every pain is associated with my father not being there. And as luck would have it, in 2014, I lost my closest friend, my brother. He was 35 to an ailment of heart. And that is where I also started getting a lot more serious about health, because now I had to live for 2 daughters that I had. And that's where my journey actually began. And the more double clicking I kept doing, given that I started my career as an equity research analyst, looking deeper into things, double clicking comes very naturally. You keep asking why, till you somewhere reach a space which gives you a logical or a rational or a scientific reasoning to that. And when I looked at that, sometime around pre-COVID and around COVID, the more research I did, I realized how bad the problem is. And let me lay this right. First, for that, Jivraj, we need to also define what health is. A lot of people have different views on health. Even if you look at the WHO classification of health, it means being unhealthy is somebody who has a disease or a disability. I think it's a very narrow definition. But when I look at health, I look at 3 things. One is physical health. One is what I call as cognitive health, your brain health. And third I talk about is emotional health, right? Mental health, a lot of people call it. And each of these have parameters you can track, measure. The way when somebody comes and asks me this question, am I healthy? I'll ask him to get 5 parameters checked, what I call as metabolic health. And for me, everything boils down to this metabolic health. And the 5 parameters are: what is your fasting blood glucose? If it is more than 100 mg by dl, there is a problem. What are your triglyceride levels? Triglycerides is a fancy or a scientific way of saying fat. The fat molecule circulating inside your blood in a lipoprotein. Triglyceride levels need to be less than 100. If they are more, you have a problem. Third thing, obviously, is your blood pressure. I think it's the biggest silent killer all over the world. We don't understand what happens when you have extra or excess blood pressure, hypertension. 120/80 is normal. A lot of people, when they see 130/80, they think, oh, 10 hi to bada hai. How does it matter? No. Even 125 is bad, because that is the extra pressure happening on the endothelial layer of your blood vessel. The same blood vessel goes all across the body and is somewhere damaging organs as you speak. Fourth is your HDL cholesterol. HDL cholesterol plays a very important role. Is as it's moving in the blood vessels, its job is to pick up extra LDL cholesterol and transport it back to the liver. And fifth is your waist circumference. So for men, if your waist circumference is above 38 inches, and for women, if it is above 34 inches, these 5 things are determined. It's what we call as metabolic health, which is my definition of health. Now, why I am preluding this to the question that you are asking, I recently in June 2023, ICMR released. ICMR is one of the biggest health institutes in India, NGO. they released a report, the largest study they'd done. And if you look at each of these parameters, almost 90% of India has metabolic syndrome or metabolic health issue. That is how bad 90% has at least one of the 5 conditions. Almost 60% of the country has 3 out of 5 conditions, right? Now, what happens when this is also a manifestation? You better know this, as most of these people who have any of these symptoms will either be obese or they will be type 2 diabetic. Let's look at the obesity epidemic in the country, right? Our obesity epidemic, again, as per that same ICMR report, 40% of urban male or urban people have what we call as obesity. This is general obesity. But more than 52% of urban male have abdominal obesity. Abdominal obesity is like Arjun Kapoor in Singham. It's a Rawar, right? Abdominal obesity is when your organs get surrounded by fat and they are gradually declining, right? That's the level of obesity epidemic. More importantly, almost 40% of teens are now obese.
40% of teens
are now obese. 1 in 4 kids are now obese. And I'm not talking overweight. There is a difference between overweight and obese. Obese is an extreme. So you measure your weight according to something called as BMI, body mass index. So your weight in kgs divided by height, which is in meter square. If it is up to 25, then you are okay, normal person. 25 to 30, you are overweight. And above 30, you are obese. And then there are 3 layers. Obese level 1 up to 35, obese level 2 up to 40, super obese over 40. The numbers that we are discussing is still obese. If you add overweight to this, almost 80% of India is overweight and obese, including kids, including teens. And a lot of things happen because of that. I'll just give you an example. Tomorrow when you go to the gym, try and take extra 10 kgs of weight in both your hands and just hold it. And try and walk on the treadmill, even at 4. You will realize what that extra weight is doing to you. In a normal parlance, we don't understand the difference between a 60 kg male and a 70 kg male. But every extra 1 kg of weight that you have, its impact on your legs go up if you are a normal person by 4 kgs. When you walk by 6 kgs and when you run by almost 8 kgs, that's the impact.
At every 30, 1 kg.
Only 1 kg. That's the compounding. Now, at 30, you may feel normal, but if you don't lose the weight that you have, by 60 or 65, you will need a knee transplant because your knees can't carry weight. This is obesity. Let's now look at diabetes and pre-diabetes. Now, if you just look at the sheer numbers and do the math, given that we have 150 crore people in India, you will see we have more overweight and obese people than the entire population of US and Europe put together. Diabetes is similar numbers. The same ICMR report which they did with the Diabetic Association, 110,000 people they measured in India. As we speak, India has more pre and diabetic than the entire population of America multiplied by 1.5. So US is about 300 million people. India has today 464 million pre and diabetics. Now, why this number is still very scary to me? Because India is also the youngest population in the world, right? Our average age is 29. So if at an average, so US average age is about 40. At 40, they will have about 100 million diabetic. Now at 29, if I have 464 million pre and diabetic, imagine when this 29 number will go to 40, 60 to 70% of the population will be diabetic. Why is this again a problem? Diabetes, Jivraj, is not a disease. It's not a condition, it's a disease, right? It's a disease. Now, the moment you are diabetic, you have excess blood glucose circulating in your blood vessels, and those blood vessels are going everywhere. The same blood vessel, when they go to your eye, you will need a cataract operation, right? Why do you need a cataract operation? Because the blood glucose is caramelizing the protein, releasing oxidative stress, you are losing sight. When they go to your heart, you will have a heart attack or you will have a stroke. When they go to your kidney, you will require dialysis. When they go to your liver fat accumulates, you will have liver cirrhosis, you will need a liver transplant. When they go to your foot, you will have to amputate your legs. In Singapore, when they looked at amputation, 90% of the people whose legs were amputated had diabetes. 70% of people who went for kidney and dialysis treatment had diabetes. So diabetes is the root cause for most of the stuff that is happening, and we are the diabetic capital of a disproportionate amount. And look at it, why I am still very concerned, Jivraj, is because our per capita is still $2,500. US is at $80,000. At $80,000, so much of problems, they have enough dollars to take care of it, even though your health span will reduce, right? But in India, even today, $2,500, if this is the state of India's health, we have another problem in India. Our country does not support health. I'm not talking of regulation, I'm not talking of politician. I'm talking of the typography of country. We are a warm country. So whenever you are living in a warm country with climate change, you will not want to go out to exercise because बहुत धूप है. I am naturally inclined to stay at home, and with the way everybody is selling air conditioners, I don't want to step out. Today, we are spending 90%, I'm talking of urban India, 90% of our time either in our home, office or inside a car. Second, because we are 1/3 the size of US with 3 times more people, we have to accommodate everyone, right? Because we have 150 crore people to feed, which is where our footpaths have been taken away by hawkers. Our roads have become narrower, which means even if somebody musters up the courage to go and exercise, can't take a walk. On top of that, layer in this with our air quality, layer in with this our water problem. So we are an ecosystem which is a challenged ecosystem from a health perspective. On top of that, we are now surrounded by food. Now, because our per capitas are so low, and I want to build a scale, and we will sometime discuss about the importance of scale in business. Everybody is chasing growth today, right? When I'm talking of corporates. Now, if I want to chase growth where you have massive population which is below, what do? I have to sell a packet of Lays at 10 rupees. Now, if I have to sell a packet of Lays at 10 rupees, I also want my gross margins to be 70%. So I have to create the entire product, including the packaging,
at 3 rupees.
At 3 rupees. Now, what is it that I'm going to feed you for 3 rupees? I have no choice but to feed you salt. I don't have a choice but to feed you palm oil. You look at the same chocolate, dairy milk, Kit Kat in India versus Europe. It's not that Europe is great and India is bad. India problems are different because I have to sell a dairy milk for 10 rupees if I am playing the volume game, if I am Cadbury, right? Now, at 10 rupees, I can't give you milk. So I give you sugar and I give you vegetable oil, which is why biscuit becomes a go-to snack to go to, right? Why? There is some material in that 5 rupee Good Day biscuit or a Monaco or whatever you buy, that 5 rupee with 5 rupee of tea gives you satisfaction, thoda pet bhar gaya. But in that 10 rupee, the quality of ingredients you are feeding yourself is horrible. Now, when you look everything in a perspective, and then if I look at India over the next 10, 20 years, I am very sure India will be probably the second or the third largest economy. By 2047, we should probably be second or third largest, right? That's great from an economic standpoint. What it will do to our health, because we run so many economic models as equity research analysts at some point of time. And when I double click and fast forward that, we are in for a very, very bad times. And क्या होता है, up to about 1200, 1300 per capita, a large part of your money goes into 4 things: roti, kapda, makan, mobile. Now, incremental 1500, 13, 1400 to 2500, of that incremental 1000 rupee, a lot of these goes into your incremental food items. So I will want to upgrade from a atta to a bread, from eating khakra at home to a biscuit. Because that's aspirational, because every day some actor is coming and telling you this is great for you, this is great for you. I'm aspiring to consume that, right? The real challenge is going to be when we move from $2,500 to $5,000. Where will this India spend that money? On one hand, it's an opportunity. On the one hand, from a health lens point of view, it is a challenge. Which is where I started learning a lot more, because honestly speaking, because of what happened to my dad and my brother, at least I want to live longest, as long as I can. Also, what I have realized is when somebody asks me what gives me a lot more happiness, it's the time that I spend with my daughters. So the longer I live, I am going to be spending more time with them and then their daughters. And interest is far more interesting than principle, right? So that's where my journey kind of began. And when I started learning a lot on this, I said that I think at least I owe it to start sharing this with people. So That's kind of a very long answer to your short question.
No, but that's so articulate and structurally explains the problem that is prevalent. Do you think systemically what has happened has already been done? But what is happening now with a lot of new brands coming up, a lot of movement like yours who are, educating, where do you think the knowledge gap is getting covered? Where do you think the action gap will get covered? Like what are the steps that we need to take? Like, so if you're talking to somebody who is in that bracket, diabetic, obese, overweight, what can they do today? And they probably don't have the paying propensity, right? What can they do today to reverse the phenomena that they have been fed into because of geography, right? They don't want to go out, they can't work, infrastructure is not keen. What is the solution here that a normal day-to-day person beyond the information, let's say information alike, what can they do?
So I think the most important thing they need to do is they have to change their belief systems.
Okay.
They need to believe that this is reversible. And I'll tell you why. So I have a life philosophy which says all behavior is belief driven.
Yes.
If your belief won't change, your behavior won't change, right? Why is it important to change that belief, especially in a country where we are? So I don't know whether I've said this in an earlier podcast, but when you touch your elders' feet, what would they tell you? Jug jug jiyo.
Jug, jug, jiyo.
You know what is one jug? One jug is 4.3 million years.
Oh.
Right? So your ancestors or your elderlies are blessing you. Jug jiyo means live for 8.6 million years. Why? Because they feel that life is so valuable, life is so precious, and I wish you the longest life. And yet, whenever you are talking to somebody and somebody walks by who's a familiar face, you will immediately tell him, "Arey yaar, I was remembering you yesterday only. You live 100 years."
Yeah.
What is his response? पागल है क्या? इसको 100 साल जीना है.
Correct.
Now what has happened is because there is someone in and around in your family or in your extended family or in your friend circle who must be 65, 70 has started seeing disability hitting. Whether it's a walking stick, whether it's inability to climb, whether it is dependence on somebody for something, we all start looking at old age as a problem.
Yeah.
Now, because now I'm not valuing life, and because I think that my old age or my going forward life is going to be worse, I'm not valuing that life today. India has this unique another problem. We all became. I am not religious. I don't believe in God. And when you read a lot about it, I think somewhere religion came into people's life long back, is to give them an anchor when you are in a challenged state of mind, right? Or somewhere when you look at religion, when I lost my father at 7 years, what was fed to me? What was fed to me is death is destiny, right? What was fed to me is you are born, your end date is written. In somewhere भगवान ऊपर बैठे है, उसने बोल दिया है basis what you did in the previous life, karma, paap, punya, and hence that particular time Yamraj will come, you die. You see a lot of Hindi movies, Yamraj is coming, takes you. Now our culture has shaped this belief. So my belief is my death is destiny. If I believe that my death is destiny, I will not treat my body as a temple. I will keep abusing my body because how does it matter? My death is written. And very interesting because I like data. In 1930, what was the average life expectancy in India? So 1930 is when my grandfather would be young.
About 60?
It was about 30 years.
Oh yeah, okay, 1930.
Right?
30.
We are now 2024, so almost 100 years.
Yeah.
What is the life expectancy in India today? 70 years. So we've added 40 years. I will refuse to believe that my grandfather was a bad person compared to me.
Yeah.
Death is not destiny. That is malleable. Yes, you may tomorrow die crossing a road or anything like that may happen. But chances are very far and few in between. The problem is because your belief is that death is destiny, because your belief is that one day somebody will come, because your belief is old age is not the greatest time to be alive, I keep abusing my body. So for me, anybody listening to this podcast wants to get healthier, change your belief. Change your belief. So for example, my biggest belief is I want my last decade, which is 75 to 85 as per me, to be my best decade in life. Now, because I believe that is my best decade is yet to come, all my behaviors today have changed. So I just feel till the belief systems will change, people are not going to change. And once your belief system changes, then you will gradually start doing. There are a lot of interesting studies that have been done, right? Exercise cannot lead to weight loss. It has almost 0 to 5% impact on weight loss. But it is still a very important tool for weight loss. Why? Because people who exercise will not eat junk.
Yeah.
It has this unique feedback loop. Yeah, if you've worked out very well, if you've gone and run 10 kilometers today, very unlikely you will go and want to binge on a samosa or on a Coke or a fruit juice or a biscuit. Exercise keeps you satiated.
Yeah.
Now, belief changes, my behavior will change. If I am exercising, I will eat better. If you are exercising, you will sleep early. You don't have a choice. Body is tired. It will make you sleep. So I'm just saying everything is so connected, but it begins with belief in my view. But I am a realist. If you see my profile, I write the word realist. I still feel only 5% Indians have a hope to change. 95% Indians will go on that phase philosophy, which is there will be phases where they will want to lose weight. Somebody's wedding is coming. I want to look good. It will last for 3 months. Moment you've achieved that outcome, they will slip out. Some people will not achieve the outcome and hence give up. What they don't realize is when it comes to health, we overestimate what can be done in a year and we underestimate what can be done in a decade. Like in wealth, right? And hence compounding works in health as well. So to that extent, whether it is worldly view or even in India, I am trying to get those 5% people to change.
Got it. No, that is phenomenal to hear. What are other misconceptions when it comes to beliefs within health? Be it patterns of consumption, be it habits that you have seen people keep alive and not change, and especially in your journey of debunking many truths about health that we were earlier perhaps not aware of at the scale that you have been able to spread. What are some of these things? Like, ghee comes to mind, of course. When you put that out, it went, viral instantly because people were unaware. So do you have other such popular held beliefs that people have which are misconceptions?
So let's look at this from a slightly more philosophical point, and I'll come to the tactical part as well. Sure. You've heard of Titanic, right? The famous ship that went in. So Titanic, on that fatal day when it was going fast, so the captain gave the order to increase the speed because the seas were very calm and it was going at a very breakneck speed. And not too many people know that there were 2 warnings the captain received from Titanic from ships that were coming across, saying that there are icebergs ahead, be careful. First came 45 minutes before the iceberg was hit. Second came 30 minutes. The captain didn't listen.
They don't show this in the movie.
They don't.
Yeah.
The reason was because the seas were so calm that it gave the captain a false sense of security. And when you have a false sense of security, you will go at. So now to overlay this, I think the biggest challenge we face is in our youth. 25 to 35 or 25 to 40 is a phase where you start building up all the bad habits. Why? Why not before that? Before that, you've already had the first round of bad habits, but that has nothing to do with you. Your parents have to be blamed. So if your parents fed you Horlicks or Complan or Bonvita, Cerelac, fruit juice, cornflakes, I will blame your parent, but I won't blame the child. So you're already coming off a bad parenting from a food habit standpoint. If your parents have given up on home cooking, ghee wala, paratha or idli or whatever, right? Now coming into the younger age, at 25, 26, you start earning. So this is where you are getting your independence. And this is the phase of your life when the waters are most calm. You are feeling the most energetic. And because of the way your mitochondria functions within the cell, your cells are firing, like, you are going at full speed. And no matter how much a Prashant Desai will come and tell you, energy drink is bad for you, Red Bull mat piyo, cigarette mat piyo, you are having 5 smokes a day, or you are having 2 Red Bulls a day, and tomorrow morning, wow, मेरे को तो कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ा. Because the impact is compounding. Today you are not knowing. What is happening is Again, all behavior is belief driven. Your belief system is drinking energy can, Red Bull or whatever, because it's not impacting me. What Prashant is telling is not correct. How does it matter? मेरे को तो दिख ही नहीं रहा. Sometimes they overeat and they lose weight, and they realize अरे क्या बात Prashant Desai. So my point is, it's that youth is where you form your expensive habits. Now, if you can change that, then a lot of things will change. Tactically, some of the biggest myths, and the biggest myth of all is we undervalue sleep. If you correct your sleep, trust me, 50% problems on health will disappear. Sleep is a very big societal issue, image issue. I will sleep when I die. If you don't sleep, you will die. Think about it. 3.2 billion years of evolution. Every living thing sleeps. Mother Nature puts you to sleep because sleep is not a passive state of mind. Sleep is one of the most active state of mind. We sleep in the first phase of our sleep. A large part of our sleep is what we call as deep sleep or non-REM sleep. This is the time when all your memories are converted from short term to long term. There is a massive cleaning up of your brain that happens so that you can take on more information next day. This is the time when your immune system gets a boost. This is a time when your insulin gets stressed, so that next day when you eat, your pancreas work, insulin comes, it can clear out that excess blood glucose. This is also the time when your entire body's ecosystem around health gets kind of a complete overhaul. When you get into the second phase of sleep, which is called the REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement, it is your therapeutic balm. All your motivation, learning, creativity goes through the roof. Einstein got the idea of theory of relativity in his sleep. Larry Page wanted to do something, he didn't know what. In sleep, he realized he had to build a search engine. So when you sleep, a lot of problem solving happens. I lost my father, I lost my friend. The only way I could overcome this is through sleep. Sleep is Mother Nature's balm to overcome all the bad. Sleep is a very important part of it. When you are undersleeping, you will overeat by 500 calories next day. But not just that, you will eat wrong calories. You are getting insulin resistant when you are undersleeping. We have two hormones, ghrelin and leptin. Leptin is your satiety hormone. When you are undersleeping, leptin levels fall down by 28%.
Wow.
And then we have a hunger hormone called ghrelin. When you undersleep, your ghrelin level go up by 18%. Now look at the double whammy when you wake up. You wake up not just hungrier, but ever if you were pulled an all-nighter, next day you won't feel like eating dal chawal. You will want calorie-dense food. You want what we call as 45% people desire obesogenic foods. All this only because you didn't undersleep. And what is the difference between good sleep and undersleep? 7 to 9 hours is the minimum required. Even if you sleep 1 hour less, that is undersleep. In the last 50 years of our evolution, mankind has underslept by 25%.
Oh my God.
Imagine if I told you that mankind has underbreathed by 25%. You will die. So sleep is a big issue. Exercise is the second most important thing, right? There is no protocol like exercise. After you correct your sleep, ROI is flat. After you correct your nutrition, ROI is flat. Exercise is the single biggest intervention which has no upper limit. Studies after studies after studies have demonstrated if you are exercising 3 to 5 days a week, you will live longer, but the quality of life will be significantly better. So you need to lift weights. After 35, your muscle mass is going to go down. Your muscle strength will go down. Your muscle power will go down. You will become fragile. You will be more prone to injury. Your flexibility comes down. Your stability comes down. Your pain thresholds will go up. I cannot stop this decline, but I can slow down this decline. The reason why people don't want to live longer is because they can't take the stairs up or down. The only way to do this is in your 40 and 50, you will have to exercise. You can't do that when you are 70.
Yeah.
Your biggest reservoir of blood glucose is muscles. Muscle is an organ of longevity. I keep telling people, we are a fat obsessed nation. We need to be muscle obsessed nation.
Yeah.
Your muscle releases endocrine. It's an endocrine organ. It releases your hormone. Your hormone level go up if you lose muscle. But we don't like exercising because there is no knowledge about why. First book I read on nutrition was written, I think, in 1600s. Luigi Cornaro, something I forget his name. In Amazon, when you type books on nutrition, you will get 40,000 books. Type exercise, you will not get more than 10 books.
Really?
Yes. So nobody understands exercise. Most people think by exercising I will lose weight. Exercise cannot make you lose weight. Exercise has almost a 0% role in losing weight. So I don't exercise. So myth, you need to exercise. Nutrition, the biggest myth is protein. We are the most under protein country probably in the world, except probably Africa. So we eat for 3 reasons. One, we eat to live or for movement or for energy. So all the fats and carbohydrate are your source of fuel. We have 37 trillion cells in our body. Each of these cells need to do its function.
Sure.
So you recently, अभी जो आपने किया इसके लिए energy चाहिए. So your cells over here made energy for you to do this. Your brain give that. So for brain to give that signal that Jivraj move your hand, sorry, it needs energy. That energy, its preferred source of fuel is glucose, next is fat. So one, I am eating for energy or movement. Second, I have to eat for my structural integrity, for my bones, for my muscles. Uske liye protein plays the role. And fat also plays a limited role. But majority of your structural integrity of your body comes from muscle. When you go older, what are you losing? Because you are losing muscle mass, strength and power, and you are not eating enough protein, you are becoming weak and frail. So protein is for that. Third thing you need is for digestion, which is where fiber comes into play. The whole gut health now in the forefront of health. But we don't give protein the respect. All the excess carbs and fat that you eat, if your body cannot use, will get converted into fat. Protein cannot get converted into fat. Protein cannot be stored. Protein will be secreted out. एक दिन try करना, right? One day for lunch have 100 grams of paneer. Okay? Next day in the same lunch, instead of 100 gram paneer, replace it with 100 grams of आलू का सब्जी. See, आपको भूख कब ज़्यादा लगती है? Protein satiety levels are here. When you eat more protein, you will feel less hungry and you will binge less. You will snack less. When you eat more protein, your muscle protein synthesis kicks in. When your muscle protein synthesis kicks in, you are preserving sarcopenia. But there is no talk about protein.
Yeah.
Look at sugar. I think the single biggest culprit in India for our metabolic health, I would want to give it to maida and sugar. 2 months back, the Nutri guidelines came out for India in 2024. What a joke it is. The single biggest reason, in my view, which is leading India to this worth health crisis, we discussed that in the earlier part of it, sugar has no mention.
In the Nutri policy.
So in Nutri policy, they are giving you a food pyramid, there is no mention of sugar. They are setting Nutri guidelines, there is no mention of sugar. There is a by the way mention of sugar in some 40-second or 50-second page that ideally we should consume 20 to 25 grams of sugar. Ideally. Okay? If that's your ideology, this is Nutri guidelines coming from Government of India. One Coke can has 30 grams of sugar. One packet of chips has 20 grams of sugar. Horlicks, Bonvita, Cornplan, what you are feeding your kid, one scoop has almost 33 grams of, one scoop 33 grams has about 22 grams of sugar. And the government is saying, my guideline is don't have 22. If it is 20 to 25, why is it not coming in the first page? Today, when you look at a packet of a food and look at outside, where there is a sugar, they will mention something as percentage of your RDA. RDA is recommended dietary allowance. All the RDA guidelines we borrow from WHO or from the West. Completely corrupted, doesn't matter. Now the RDA, the food companies have been such cahoots with RDA, with the guideline creator, including WHO, that they don't have any policy for total sugar. Because they say every food has some kind of a sugar. When you eat bread, it has sugar. When you eat vegetable, it will have sugar. So basically what they say is, we don't have a guideline on total sugar. We have a guideline on added sugar. But at the end of the day, sugar inside the body is sugar. And sugar's chemical formula is C6H12O6. So under mein that broke. When I was doing my course at Stanford on nutrition science, the entire module on carbohydrate was carbohydrate / sugars. Carbohydrates is nothing but glucose. Glucose is nothing but a form of sugar. Sugar has two components. 50% is glucose, 50% is fructose. The sweetness comes from fructose, for example. The reason why I'm sharing all of this is, recently there was a big legal case on me. I had done an Insta reel on saying don't give these 3 foods to your kids, and first one I said was Complan, Horlicks, Bonvita, and there I gave that the amount of sugar, and I meant amount of total sugar that you are giving is equal to 200% of your recommended guideline. Complan took me to court. I lost the case. Then we appealed. Usme also we lost. And the prima facie is the fact that from a legal standpoint, when you look at something like this, and which is where the whole education piece needs to come in very strong, which is where I have a challenge with this Nutri guideline. One, the judge told me in his order, he says that I cannot talk about it because I am not a doctor. So my point to that, and we put all our written submissions here. Then you ask FDA, the Nutri label that you are putting should also be read by doctors. If you are putting it in a consumer packet, everybody is there. Right. Second, their point of view, Complan side point of view is that what I am saying is total sugar but not added sugar. Right. And I'm saying this is the game where you are going to get stuck as a country, right? Recently I had done a post long back where I said that there was a Government of India Nutri seminar, and the primary sponsors were largely government organizations like SBI or whatever. The next two real private sector sponsors was Kellogg's and Pepsi. So if your Nutri sum of pieces are going to be sponsored by them, they will have a point of view, right? Why is it that we are not putting a cap on sugar? I don't know. You will often hear Indians will say, Indian ko to by birth we have a sweet tooth, or it's not a sweet tooth. It is a habit. If you are being as an infant to 6 months, in the Cerelac that you are being fed, there is sugar in that. The same Cerelac in the West does not have, or in Europe does not have sugar. So from there you are developing an affinity towards sugar, and then you say it's a sweet tooth. There is no sweet tooth. And then when you fast forward to this, and you look at over 450, 500 million pre and diabetics, where do you stop? And a lot of people, a lot of my fellow influencers, and I get a lot of hate when I talk about sugar. And because I am very blunt, sugar is poison, sugar kills, kill sugar. I am very clear about it. The reason is, if I talk so strongly, you will reduce 1 teaspoon of sugar, right? Nobody's going to make very major change. But the reason why I keep saying, when I get a hate from, is a lot of people talk in extremes, right? As an idealist, I get hate from influencers. He said, sugar is not poison. When you have sugar, there is a natural response of insulin. This is a natural response. And I say, yeah, you are right, idealistic world, am I right? But we are not living in an idealistic world, right? We are living in a world where you are surrounded by sugar in everything. Even the bread that you eat has added sugar in it. Now, what is happening is, if you look at the diabetic, this diabetic was once a pre-diabetic. A pre-diabetic was once normal. Nobody is born as a diabetic or a pre-diabetic unless you have type 1, which is a genetic disorder. Hence, it is through the food choices. And whether it is diabetes or obesity, the cause behind this is insulin resistance. Insulin only comes into play when you eat carbs and sugars. Otherwise, there is no role of insulin to play, major. Hence, but our entire Nutri guideline is completely silent on sugar. The way our Nutri guidelines were done, for 152 crore people to be given a guideline to what to eat, they interviewed 30,000 people. They did not even test them. They interviewed them. It's like me asking Jivraj one day, Jivraj, kal kya khaya? Now, obviously, when you know I am coming from Government of India Nutri guideline, Jivraj will say, कल सुबह उठ के मैंने पोहा खाया, फिर मैंने बादाम खाई, फिर मैंने रोटी सब्जी दाल खाई. Realistically, that is not what India is eating. Yeah. So your entire Nutri guideline of the country is basis on dietary recall, which has been done on only 30,000 people. Big joke, and this joke is not in India but all over the world. If you read any food label in any country, it is based on 2000 calories. So their average recommendation is that average population is eating 2000 calories. I am currently reading a brilliant book called Burn by Herman Ponzer, and he starts this book with this itself pretext is wrong. A 9-year-old eats 2000 calories. At our age, we are eating at least 2700 to 3000 calories. But entire guidelines and been set basis 2000 calories. Our entire Nutri guidelines is silent on protein. It talks indirectly about protein, how much poultry you should eat, how much eggs, how much milk, but the word protein itself is missing. We need change. Abhi 2 days back, I did a big post that Donald Trump coming in, there is a chance it will change for the better India's healthcare. Now, why? One of the big proponents or somebody who supported Donald Trump was Robert Kennedy Jr. He is John Kennedy's nephew. He's as of now the biggest voice in US against food regulators and against this lobby between healthcare. And he says the maximum benefit food companies and hospitals get is from a sick child. And he wants to, and Trump has told, I will give you complete leeway. Just make the hell, make the life miserable, change. Heads will roll. Now, what will happen in my view, hopefully, I see over the next 5 years the Nutri guidelines in America changing. You know what is the American diet called in America? It's called the SAD diet.
Why?
Standard American diet. But sarcastically they call it as a SAD diet. So I think the dietary guidelines in America will change.
That will
because we look to the West for everything, I am hoping our guidelines will also change. So yeah, it's a tough environment. The legal system doesn't want to listen to you. To talk about health, as you said, if you are not a doctor, the legal system doesn't accept what you are trying to say, not looking at. And when I argued in the court, I gave all the scientific studies to prove my point. Ki your lordship, carb is nothing but sugar, total sugar and added sugar inside the body. Didn't look at any evidence. They just said that I am not a doctor, nor am I a nutritionist, so I cannot recommend. 2, they said that take the video down first because I am talking against a company which is very reputed. And I said that's a pretext. Because it is reputed, I am telling you, we gave a lot of evidence in terms of why their ads are misleading, but that was not the content of this. So we have a big uphill battle to fight. But I am hopeful because wherever there is a problem, a change will come.
Yeah, no, it's commendable what you're doing, and really kudos to all the efforts despite the pushback. And I think the pushback is also the sign that we need more of you, and we need you to do the great work that you're already on. But no, these myths are so helpful. Let's combine your business right brain acumen now with all that you do in terms of the health advocacy and awareness that you're spreading. If I had to ask you, in terms of the opportunities present in the health and fitness market today, if we have to solve for this, which is the entire contention, what are ways in which we can solve for it? If you look at it from a capitalistic point of view, if you're talking to future founders, as an investor, what are things that seem exciting? Because in India, we are seeing many nutraceuticals companies come up, many healthy snacking companies come up. We are at the same time also seeing the indulgent category rising as well. How do you look at new brands? How do you look at the opportunity?
Again, great question, Jivraj. When I overlay that, I just Peter Diamandis keeps saying this, that the world's biggest problems are it's also the world's biggest opportunities, right? And we have a problem over here which is impacting 90% of 152 crore Indians. So the opportunity is massive, and multiple ways to slice and cut the data. But just to give you the audience a view, even today in India, the weight loss industry is 2 lakh crores.
Wow.
Right, just the weight loss industry. US, this number is about $300 billion and growing. It is amongst the fastest growing categories, right? If I can use the word loosely, health in that sense. So there will be, in the way I look at it is, there is opportunity both on the services side, and then there is a massive opportunity on the product side. The opportunity on the product side will be massive. But with this massive opportunity on the product side, you will have very high competition also. At the same time, your cost of reaching the customer is also going to be extremely, extremely high, given the fact that we are a very young country demographic. So for you to create a kind of a significant impact through having a massive size or volume or scale will require too much of capital behind, not just to create the product, but even marketing. But there is opportunity. On the services side, I think the biggest opportunity is when I look at it is in terms of democratizing health. Democratizing health through education is one opportunity. Democratizing health through making India healthy through an app. So let me explain. The biggest challenge, and which is why we have a 2 lakh crore, is almost 80 or 70% of India is overnourished, right? The 30% India which is normally nourished or undernourished are very, very poor people or people who are health conscious. Now to this 70% people, everybody wants to lose weight. Why? Because one great thing about losing weight is you look good, you look sexy. And everybody in today's world of Bollywood, Insta wants to look good. So that is a market which is there, that is a market that is growing. Which is why you have nutritionists perhaps in every zip code of the country today, in whichever way they are helping people. But weight loss is very scientific. The only way to achieve weight loss is through something called as energy balance. Calorie in minus calorie out. Calorie out is your energy that you are spending. A lot of people confuse energy out or calories out to exercise. Exercise plays a very limited role. 60% of what you are burning is at rest when your organs are working, your brain is your heart. So 60% is what we call as BMR. Almost 20 to 25% is what we call as non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is all the stuff that you are doing unknown. You just moved the leg, this is neat. You will see a lot of people have a fidgeting problem. A lot of people just walk, this is neat. 25% of your energy expenditure happens because of that. And close to about 10 to 15% is thermic effect of food. So for example, when you eat too much of protein, to extract that amino acids out of the protein, you need to spend energy. So if you are eating 100 grams of protein, you get only 70 grams. 30 is used to take all this out. So energy out you can do very limited. So all weight loss is only one thing, eating less calories. Now there's a very brilliant study that came out in I think New England Journal of Medicine. When they asked people in terms of how much you are eating, every single participant underreported what they are eating by 50%, right? And when they were asked how much you exercise, they overreported exercise by 50%. Okay. The interesting thing being, it's very easy to lose weight provided you see this through the lens of science and not through jargon. Yesterday there was an ad in paper saying there is a company which is a probiotics company has tied up with Hrithik Roshan. They will come up with a probiotic which will help you lose weight. Law of thermodynamics is very clear. Energy is constant. You can create energy, you can't destroy energy. All energy comes from food. Food is expressed in terms of calorie. Calorie is your currency for energy.
And working out does not burn calories, you're saying?
Sorry?
Working out does not increase...
Working out burns calories, but working out doesn't result in weight loss.
Energy.
And I'll come to that in a minute. Why?
Sure.
Very important thing you asked. But the point is, weight loss will come, you will have to eat less. The only way to eat less is for you to monitor first your starting point, how much you are eating. Now the easiest way to do this is to weigh, in a weighing scale, how much roti weighs, how much chana weighs, note it down, go to Google, and at least you will get some sense of it. But it's too cumbersome. Every time you wake up in the morning and you've eaten 2 badam, I have to wait. So somewhere I see somewhere a hope where if you can just weigh and click a picture, can your AI tell you how much calories did you consume? Now, if I know this is my calories consumed, my weight loss I have democratized digitally. So I see again a big opportunity over there. Before I come to the product side, education side, I'll just lose. So what happens when you are exercising more? Let's say you went for a 2-hour run. Over a 2-hour run, you will lose about 800 to 1000 calories, right? Now, if you do it every single day, you are on a calorie deficit, but nobody runs for 2 hours every day. Now, if you do this consistently, let's give this to you, right? That Jivraj goes and runs every 2 hours a half marathon every single day. Now, the moment you have 1000 calories less, what you have to realize is the center in the brain called hypothalamus, they govern your metabolism. So the moment body is saying, I am in a starvation mode, Jivraj has already burned so much of calories, body will increase your hunger levels. So people who exercise more end up eating more. It's very difficult to see people who are exercising more will not eat more. But if you are in a decent amount of exercise, your satiation goes up. Even if you are eating more, you are not eating the wrong kinds of food. So exercise plays a role, but only exercise will result in weight loss is a big myth. So on the services side, on the education side, I think there is a massive opportunity for somebody to kind of crack this piece. Product side is the biggest opportunity, right?
Yeah,
Because
before you go there, sorry to interrupt,
Sure.
but do you think companies like Healthify Me were able to do a good job in terms of calorie counts, in terms of, tracking what food you're eating? They have existed for a while, and then there are these nutrition-based services, right? Like who offer you a nutritionist, track your calories. How do you think they have done in the country, and would you change something about them, or is there a new way of doing this, considering so much is evolving almost always in the food sciences?
So Healthify Me is a great way they've been able to start off. Whether they can democratize this is for us to be seen. Again, they are also struggling in that same zone.
Yeah.
What happens is when you launch a particular product or a service or an app, there is so much of pressure for you to make it successful. They also got funding and all of that.
Yeah.
Then you start over promising. And then when you don't deliver on that, then you start losing your subscribers, your paid subscriber base. I don't know where they stand today, but it was an honest, good attempt. Can they now bring in AI? Can they simplify this such that you can make me eat less is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Anybody who cracks this, can I convert, can this be a phygital model? Possible. So somewhere that needs to kind of get into play. But I am hopeful for somebody like a Healthify Me, somebody like Mukesh Bansal's company, Cure Fit, which now has been bought by Tata. So something what they are trying to, different models will come. Who will be successful? Only time will tell. Product is going to get crowded. And here
Product, you mean wearables?
So, okay, now let's look at tech side of it. I see a big explosion on tech side. Tech side, I hope at some point of time they go through the Moore's law and the costs come down. Today, the cost on the tech side are very, very heavy. When I wear a CGM, it costs me about 15,000 rupees a month.
Yeah.
Right now, what I do with that data is more important. Also, every time there is a new product, new technology comes, there are people who don't like that technology, a normal case. But I just see continuous glucose monitors doing well. I see wearables, especially sleep wearables doing well. I am looking forward to a product that has just got launched in Europe where they continuously monitor your blood pressure. For me, it's a game changer. But can it be brought down to a cost levels where you democratize it? It can give you amazing data. And then if I can link this to my watch, which today all wearables are connected to your watch, and can I transport that data to my doctor? Already e-cardiogram and cardiogram things have come in Apple Watch. So wearable, I see the problem with wearables are two. The moment a great tech comes from a great watch company, then every smartwatch company wants to provide that, and they start compromising on the technology. Why is Whoop for me a gold standard? Because of the amount of time and the founder's vision, they are not compromising on the tech side of it, right? When I look at my Whoop data with a loosely typed, some Indian company has come out with a ring, there is too much. I mean, there is no comparison. So on the wearable side, I would say big opportunity, but the market is small. But it's a very premium market. If you build a model saying that this is something that I want to serve, and my service is over here on the value side, I won't have a 500 crore business. If I make my peace with the fact that my wearable will be 100, 200 crore business, but I make it then very profitable.
Yeah.
And then be in touch with the market. As your prices keep coming down, you will have a expanded kind of a market. I will be very bullish to probably look at some of those guys doing this. I am currently doing a course on blood work in the US. There is a company in US called Insight Tracker. I am doing something completely different. So in Insight Tracker, they send you a way to take your blood in your home. You send that blood back, and there are 43 biomarkers they track. Basis that 43 biomarkers, they will tell you where you are with respect to your health, nothing to do with weight loss. And through that, they give you recommendation on sleep, on gut health, on exercise, on nutrition. It's doing phenomenally well there. What I am doing is only a blood work course on two things that have been most scientifically studied through the lens of medicine. What your doctors make you do. So, your complete blood count and complete metabolic panel. Now, can that data get converted into telling you what your health is today and then giving you, recommending you protocols is something that I may consider at some point of time. So there is this whole services piece which is looking very, very interesting from the tech side of it, right? And then of course, product is an ocean, but my view on product is different. Product is facing this very big challenge. If you are making a product that is too healthy, it will turn out to be a little expensive. If it turns out to be expensive, it is the same variable challenge. You will be able to create a smaller market, not a very large market.
So you have to be comfortable with that.
So you have to be comfortable, but make it a very profitable. So if I am somebody who's raising capital, then I will tell my guys that this is it. So the way I look at it is, when you now look at lot of niches, we have a TAM issue. I put 3-4 of those niches in one where I cover a TAM which is larger. So I may have 100 to 200 crore, but 10 brands within them.
Got it.
Now can I play across the breadth? Within that variables come, within that sleep monitoring come, within that product will come, within them some kind of a service overlay come. But one within product I am very bullish is on the protein side of it. And I think we are at the cusp of seeing very massive protein
Consumption.
Education happening, and then consumption will happen.
Conversion.
And a great sweet spot within this is what Quest did in US, Tom Bilyeu's company, where they created an entire range of snacking in protein but expensive. So they have a packet of protein chips which will give you 12 grams of protein, and the carbs to protein ratio is, you will have in that 12 grams, you may have 3 grams of carbs or sugar, right? So protein to carb ratio is normally 3, 4, 5x, which is what you want. From pizzas to protein snacks to savory, it's doing extremely well. All the sweet thing, they use allulose, they don't use sugar. Again, very different approach. So I see a big role over there. Savory protein. In US, there is a company called Mainui, which has created protein sticks, but they are of deer meat. Can we create a paneer version of that? Can we create a soy version of that? Can we create a nut version of that? I don't know. So food technologists will need to come. So protein I see a big, and in protein, what we have seen is people will pay a little premium. If your education is right.
How is the India market for protein already? Because we see so many protein powders already flooding the market. Within those also, there is a debate as to which protein is good, not good, which customer, are they actually claiming what they are doing, etc.
So I don't know how big the protein market is, unfortunately, but what I can tell you is the second point that you're making is a very relevant point. Within this whole explosion of health, it's going to be very corrupted. And I talk about this of a particular company called the Whole Truth company, right? They played a brilliant marketing game by just, and the founder has taken out his rent on me because I took, so for example, they create protein bar and they are saying we don't put any sugar, we put dates. Dates is nothing but sugar. Make no mistake around it. Honey is nothing but sugar. Just because it, and they use words like natural because it is dates, fruit se aaya hai. Yaar, every sugar in the world comes only from fruit. Mother Nature has given fruit only fructose to and usi se sugar banti hai. The sweetness in the sugar, 50% is glucose, 50% is fructose. And he challenged me. And he went that date on a CGM something, date doesn't spike. And yaar, मैंने 2 dates खा के देखा, my CGM, my blood glucose spiked by 45%. So you will have to be wary of companies like these. They will appear healthy because they are mentioning all the ingredients. Good, at least you are mentioning. Others though are not doing that also. So in this whole garb of health explosion, so at Everstone we have a joint venture in the venture side called DSG Consumer, and we recently did so every year we come out with a report with Bain. And this year report with Bain that came out in the data that they submitted on the consumer company side, they said if you don't have health as a core value, it doesn't matter what you sell. On the marketing side, if the word health is somewhere not mentioned, it's a degrowing market for you. So now, which is why you will see even fruit juice companies say the fruit juices are healthy. They are the worst thing on Mother Earth. Which is why you will have digestive biscuits, again worst thing on Mother Earth. But As a consumer, you are lapping it up on the disguise. I was seeing the other day at the aisle ragi bread. Very excited. The moment I looked at the nutrient label over here, 5% is ragi flour, rest all is maida. But the brand says it's a ragi bread. Stuff like that, right? So, along with this whole explosion that is going to happen, because everybody is going to claim my product is healthy.
Yeah.
Including that Hrithik Roshan company, which is going to also claim that take my probiotic, you will lose weight.
Yeah.
The only probiotic which has so far been able to shown to manage your blood glucose comes from a live bacteria strain called Akkermansia. There is only one company in the world after 7 years and about $200 million of investments in R&D and manufacturing, they have been able to come. Because Akkermansia as a live bacteria can only grow in a non-oxygen environment. Now I have to grow this, convert this into a powder, package it and send it to you. यहाँ पर जितने भी प्रोबायोटिक है सब लैक्टोबैसिलियस में लगे हुए हैं, वो तो दही में मिलता है. So along with the good, you will have a lot of deceptive marketing, deceptive companies, deceptive brands. But I say when I wear the capitalistic hat, I will always want to back somebody like a Whole Truth, not as a moralist, but यार ये capitalist world में जो जीता वही सिकंदर. So you will have to figure out if you get into this whole space with a moralistic mindset,
it's difficult to make money.
It's going to be challenging. Then you make your peace. That should be your pitch to your evangelist, and you say, I am playing this with a 50-year view. In that you will gain scale. But how many VCs will have a 10, 20-year view also, right? So it's going to be very interesting how this will kind of pan out. But challenging brands will emerge, taking health first, and you will see a lot of existing FMG companies buying them out. Because they are victims of their own structures. They will not be able to, because on one hand you have to serve the masses, you have to make a 10 rupee chip and a 10 rupee chocolate and a 10 rupee smooth. You can't wear two hats together. In Future Group, when we launched Big Bazaar, that time we had Pantaloons. We kept the Big Bazaar office completely outside of Pantaloons. Pantaloons was talking to a different customer, Big Bazaar was talking to a different customer. So Big Bazaar whole culture, ecosystem, infrastructure was that of the customer. So वहाँ हम लोग कटिंग चाय वो ग्लास वाले उसमें मिलती थी आपको चाय. सेम चाय थी पैंटालून्स में अगर आप मीटिंग करने आओगे तो कप प्लेट में मिलती थी. Things like that. So the cultures will need to be built basis who we are targeting. But opportunity is there.
Yes.
After that Bain report, I am also getting equally convinced that if anybody does anything, somewhere the word health has to pop up.
Yeah, that is super exciting. I think that summarizes a bunch of things. To that last point, if I am a well-intentioned customer, I have money to spend and I can, I want to drink health. To that trail of thought, to that last point especially, let's assume I'm a well-intentioned customer. I have money to spend and I want to live a healthy life, which means I want to consume healthy products. How can I be wary of the things? What do I need to look for when I'm buying my groceries, products off the shelf, consuming stuff? What would you recommend to me?
It's very simple at its core. You have to keep two things in mind. Okay. So first you have, or three things. First thing, you have to ignore what's in the front.
Okay. Don't read
मतलब ही नहीं है. Because everything that is put over there is a lie. Okay. Every single thing.
Okay.
Lie is again an extreme version of it. It's misreported. Okay. Now I look at the behind. I have two very important piece of information by law they have to share. One is the nutritional content. One of the first things you need to check is carbohydrates.
Okay.
If the carbs are very high, what is very high? If any product is more than 25-30% of its ingredient is carbs, right, and fundamentally it is increasing your blood glucose. Once in a while it is okay. So why are you buying that product? So for example, let's take Whole Truth company, and I did a video against them, so I'm talking openly. They sell this as a protein bar. Right? So if I'm buying a protein bar, essentially I'm buying something because I want to consume protein.
Right.
So when I'm reversing the label, I want to check two things. How much protein is there and how much carb is there. Right? If protein is 20 gram and carb is 3 gram, it's a brilliant product because I'm paying for what I'm wanting. But if his protein is 20 and carb is 20, my carb to protein ratio is another important ratio. So when I'm looking at the label, first I need to know why. If I'm buying a packet of chips for indulgence, I don't need to look at anything. Once a week, twice, once in 2 weeks, I am eating chips. Please enjoy your chips. Please enjoy your Coke. Please enjoy your fruit juice. No problem. Then you enjoy it. Then whichever chips you like the best, please have it. Right? I don't care. But if you are having from a health perspective, then your carb percentage, and if you are consuming from a protein to carb ratio. Second thing, which is again from an nutritional label, I will want people to be very wary, is your saturated fat.
Okay.
Now, saturated fat largely comes from 3 products in the country, or largely comes from oil. When you see ghee is essentially saturated fat. Coconut oil is essentially largely saturated fat. Palm oil is largely saturated fat. Nobody in the world is going to sell you chips fried in ghee.
Yeah.
So on the packet, when you see saturated fat, which is high, and you have to be a little more skeptical about it, यार इसमें saturated fat की कहाँ से ज़रूरत पड़ गई. So that's on the nutritional label. Read the carb. For me, that's the number one thing which will tell you how good, bad, ugly it is. Then you look at the nutritional ingredient list. Here, first very simple thing is the longer the list, the shorter is your life.
Okay.
Okay. The way you have to put up the list is in an order. The higher the quantity, it comes first. So think about cricket team. Rohit Sharma, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli, that way. So see who's the Rohit Sharma, who's Yashasvi, Shubman, Virat. If in this top 4, you find wheat flour or maida, palm oil, salt, sugar, means this is what is large part of what you are eating. If you are, we discussed, right, agar मैं ragi bread ले रहा हूँ, but ragi is 4th or 5th in the list,
then there's a problem.
So for the reason you are buying is not there. If you have gone to buy bread, it's fine. If you've gone to buy ragi bread, it's not ragi bread. So very easy to decode the list, very easy for people. Consciousness needs to be there when I'm buying.
Yeah. And you have to put in the effort. Like it
you will have to put in
Correct.
the effort.
That has to be on the consumer. No, that's lovely. We've considered opportunities, we've considered the consumer. If I had to put you on the spot and be like, you had, let's say, 100 crores and you could build a company today in the health and wellness space, capturing the trend that is very evident, what would you do? And this is ancillary to the fact that you're already doing so much in education, and of course there's going to be plans. So to the extent that you can share in practicality, that'd be helpful. But if somebody is watching this, right, and they could, let's say, build a health company, I want them to be able to consider enough opportunities.
So one thing is very clear. I will go digital.
Okay.
Within digital, 20% of my capital I will want to build a services company.
Okay.
On the education side of it, which is making a difference and making money for me. I am very clear on that. If I have now 80% left, 40% is what I will invest in building domestic products.
Okay.
But if I have to build a consumer business, because my belief in protein is very high, I will build a protein company.
Okay.
Right? But protein company where everything is linked to Indian part of it.
Okay.
The balance 40%, I have a very radical thought.
Okay.
My radical thought on that is, we have a lot of great Indian food wisdom. I want to take it to the West.
Consumption is also
because that same ragi 1 kilo, in the US I will get 10x the prices. My brother used to work for a very interesting company called Vadham Teas. Bala Sharda's company, right? Bala ने क्या किया? बाला ने चाय ली, उसको सेक्सी बनाया, उसको पैकेजिंग सुपर्ब दी, बोला आई प्लक माई टी विद इन 2 hours ऑफ convert my tea into packet within 2 hours of it getting made. If you look, there are 12 teas out of 200 teas he sells, which is that. But brilliant marketing, brilliant packaging. He got into Amazon, he got into Oprah Winfrey's gift pack. And today the same tea that we buy here for 400 rupees a kg, he's selling at 4,000 rupees a kg. The arbitrage is too large. I will have to crack the marketing side of that. So I will partner somebody, but I will definitely want to take ghee to the West. I definitely want to take our millets to the West. I definitely want to take our Indian food to the West, or vegetables or fruits to the West. And with this whole supply chain ecosystem getting better. And if I'm getting 10x the prices or 15x the prices, I can fly them also. There are a lot of, but I am a very, very big proponent that Indian food wisdom needs to go there. Both, as of now, a lot of this is happening through Indian food that you are tasting in the West in Indian restaurants, but there is a lot more beyond that that can go. Our haldi, our ashwagandha, there are so many things that you can.
Yeah.
So 40, 40, 20, I will play the global game, but in all of this, I am a very big believer of longevity, and longevity comes from brand. So I will have to build brand, and hence 100 crore mein kuch nahi hoga. I will need to raise larger capital.
Fair. No, thanks for that caveat. But no, that sounds like a great plan. Abhi tak we've only spoken about, let's say, the packaged food industry, right? What do you think of some of these companies like Akshay Kalpa, and a bunch of these organic companies, and then Country Delight is a 2,000 plus crore companies, but you could question the quality. And then there's Akshay Kalpa, which says that, everything is from the farm, we've done this organic, years of farming put into this. Do you have an opinion on saying that one strategy works better than the other? And is that a market also worth considering?
Absolutely. Market worth considering is everything.
Okay.
Right. One thing which I learned from Kishore Biyani at Future Group is your product is only as good as your ability to be able to take it to people. A lot of people get confused when the product is very good, including me when I started my sports brand Defy. We thought our product was so brilliant, but we did not have the ability to take that brilliance to the consumer and communicate that to them and convince them that my product is better than a Nike, for example. So it was our failure, right? So I would say whether it is organic, whether it is some of the stuff that I wanted to do, ultimately whether you are successful or not, and for me success is all about return on capital employed, will be a function of your ability to take that product to people, which is where I feel you will have to build a brand, you will have to spend money on marketing. That is the only way to play this game. It is not for the weak-hearted. If you are part of the consumer ecosystem, you want to play this through by building the picks and shovels, you can also do that. Right, whereas I will only do farming, organic, and then I will give it to somebody else to do the value added and then make money. So models, lot of models are going to come out of this. I am not a proponent of one particular model, but over and over and over when I speak to my folks at DSG or with Hari, key question is, does the entrepreneur have the way, which is either could be education or capital, to take that product to people?
No, that's very interesting. If I can double click, right? Now you have the wisdom, you've done business, you've done investing, and now you've cracked distribution. That's a skill that most founders want to have, by the way, that they want to be able to understand marketing, they want to understand business. Knowing what you know now about gathering large scale distribution, if you had to talk to young founders who get product really right, and this is any consumer brand, let's maybe take the health hat off once for a moment. What do you recommend in terms of creating brand, developing trust, building scale distribution?
So I think Piyush Bansal has done this brilliantly. Well, he's built a great personal brand. Aman has at both built a brilliant personal brand. Namita is now doing, even though her business is largely B2B, right, at MCure. So I think founders are now kind of rallying behind that. The whole Simon Sinek, your why matters, why you are selling something. At least it helps you build a persona and a personality around the brand. You are available for people to listen to who you are, what represents. We were talking about WTF, both Nikhil and Nitin Kamath have done that extremely. A lot more and more people are doing this every single day. So one is distribution part of it, or the second is a trust. At least people feel I can reach out to him.
Sure.
Whether they can double click by being available to people is only time will tell. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs will have to spend a lot more time talking about themselves and their ethos, because their ethos is driving the culture of the business. That's one part important. I think in today's world it is not negotiable. And which is where I see a massive future for a lot of social media marketing companies. If you are able to communicate this message to the founders that your personal brand matters, and get them to storytell, get them to talk, it will be very, very important. Second piece, I tell everybody, if you are not a marketing guy, which most of the product guys are not, please hire a marketing co-founder and a tech co-founder. If 30 to 40% of your business is not coming from digital, there is something wrong with your business.
Yeah.
Right. So we are now moving into a world, and large part of successful startups that have become very large. We were initial funders of PharmEasy. You will see multiple founders.
Yeah.
So this world is all about collaborative commerce. So it's not about eating the entire pie. So if you are somebody who understands product right, please wear the product hat, get a great marketing guy, get a great tech guy, and go and raise a lot of money, even if you will get diluted at some point of time. Because if you are playing the scale game, which is what I learned from Rakesh Bhaiya, that size matters. Scale will get you disproportionate valuation in the market.
Yeah.
A company in the same space which has 200 crores of revenue, somebody who has 2000 crore of revenue making similar profit margin, the 2000 crore company's multiples will be at least 2x of the 100 crore, 200 crore company multiple. And for that, you will need capital or you will need time.
Yeah.
Now, if you are somebody who doesn't want to dilute because you love control and you want to play the time game, then you are open to competition. The moment you will become relevant of size, Mukesh Dhirubhai Ambani will come, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So competition will come. So it's an interesting dynamic how you want to play it.
Got it. You mentioned, emerging technologies. One of the things that's changed in commerce is quick, right? Now we have indulgence available on a tap and 10 minutes away. At the same time, we also have healthy products available. What do you think is changing in this landscape? Do you have an opinion on, in commerce itself, how quick commerce is impacting eating habits?
In my view, Zomato, almost 2,20,000 crore market cap company. I think Swiggy will be about 1,50,000 crore market cap company. Zepto should go public soon. Aditya is currently doing a private round. When you look at all of these, in my view, and if I wear the health hat, I think this is destroying health at such an accelerated rate that I can't even fathom. वो बोलते हैं ना, if I had a Brahmastra in which I can kill all these three, I will kill them without even blinking an eyelid, considering the health of the nation in mind, right? Because it's a democracy, they are doing what is best for them and for their shareholders. I am a shareholder of Zomato. I will participate in their growth. But from a health perspective, and I'll tell you, two things are changing. It is making India lazy beyond a doubt. So for example, in my house, one of the rules is we don't bring chips, biscuits home. We are not allowed to Zepto or Blinkit. If you want, you can go to the neighborhood Kirana store to go and buy. 7 out of 10 times, the kid doesn't want to go because you have to go walk and you are so busy in your this thing, right? So because of this so-called convenience, this challenge is emerging that we are getting a lot more lazier. When it comes to Zomato, when it comes to Swiggy, at the drop of the hat, we are, for me, the biggest disservice is to our moms and our grandmoms. You and I are ordering so much from a Zomato, Swiggy that we are giving so low importance to home cooked food. Now, when you look at the Zomato, Swiggy model, which is now in the public domain, the only way they can make money is one, scale. And when they are gaining scale, it is coming out of somebody's pocket. The only reason why you will buy something from a Zomato or Swiggy because it is cheaper. How is it cheaper? Because you are taking that extra discount out of the restaurants. Now, if a restaurant knows that my profitability on a Zomato, Swiggy is lower than my profitability on my own restaurant, they will start compromising on the quality. My view is the same restaurant, if it's not a well-established restaurant, when you are ordering on a Zomato, Swiggy, the quality of food that you are getting is significantly substandard to the quality of the food that you get at the same restaurant. So I don't know how many, you've heard of the butterfly effect? So Zomato, Swiggy has a negative butterfly effect on health of the country and the nation. And the worst thing is what they are doing is completely legal. What they are doing is brilliant, and hence this is only going to grow. And what? Whose health they are destroying, they are the people who are going to give them capital to destroy their health more. With 2,20,000 crore of market cap, suddenly you want to now amp up your reach. I will give you 5,000 crores to make my life more miserable. Yes, I think it's the worst thing that has happened in my view after sugar.
Yeah, no, I think it does make consumption of unhealthy food so easy that it is questionable how beneficial they are from a health lens for sure.
Yeah, sometimes you look at the scooter in which they carry that food, the contamination that happens in food. Yeah, everybody will say our packaging is great. Ultimately, we know
Yeah,
what
at that
happens.
scale, yeah, you never know. Oh, but this has been
But if you look where the hat of those dry riders, it's giving them employment. So for them, Zomato is a great thing to happen. And how do you balance this?
Yeah.
It's going to be a big question for regulators at some point of time. If health becomes important, recently Lok Sabha election got over. Read every political party's manifestos. Health doesn't feature.
Yeah. No, these are staggering facts. The other technological trend or trend like quick commerce is also longevity globally. And there are people like Brian Johnson really championing it. So much of what you believe in also falls in line with it. Firstly, I love your thoughts on what do you think Brian Johnson will actually achieve what he set out to do? What are your thoughts on Blueprint? And how do you think longevity is for the privileged? And how does that correlate? I'd love your thoughts on it.
Great question again, Jivraj. So I was Brian Johnson about 3.5 years back.
Okay.
A very big believer that I will personally break the India's record of the longest lived Indian of 111 years. I bought into the David Sinclair idea of the fact that the first person to live 150 years is almost amongst us. And this was my romance with the fact that we will be able to extend lifespan from currently 70 years in India to maybe 90. I bought into the idea of Ray Kurzweil, who coined this term longevity escape velocity, which said that for every 1 year that you live on Mother Earth, science and technology will add 1 more year in the next 12 to 15 years, which is technically trying to say you will be more, you live till as much as you want to live and stuff like that. And all this was great romance. This got me deep into the subject of longevity, trying to understand why we age. There are 10 hallmarks of aging, now 12 and stuff like that. And it was great period. Like Brian Johnson, I used to take resveratrol, I used to take NMN, I used to take a lot of supplements. And then as you move deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and then I got introduced to, I always call, if I ever write a book, my first chapter is going to be David Sinclair versus Peter Attia. And when I moved into the Peter Attia school of thought, and when I started learning the pathology of cardiovascular diseases, which is today India's #1 killer, when I look at the pathology of cancer today, which probably would be #4 killer in India, and when you understand diseases from a science and a pathological standpoint, I think it is going to be very difficult to live beyond 90, 95 or even 100. The reason is, I keep saying this, that you have two choices. Either you die from disease or you die with disease. My idea is I want to die with a disease, not from disease. So let's take heart attack or atherosclerosis as they call, which is heart attack and stroke. It starts in your teens, right? And it takes decades to manifest. And the risk starts growing up disproportionately after 45. Because and it's actually a repair process that leads to the blockage, which ultimately will lead. I just don't see how after 75 or 85, I will not die of a heart attack if I live that longer. Because the damage to my endothelial layer has started when I was in my teens. It's compounding, right? When I look at cancer, cancer starts because there has been some DNA damage that has happened in the mutation, which when the cell is multiplying, it does not know when to stop. The difference between a normal cell and a cancer cell is a normal cell knows when to stop dividing and it kills itself. A cancer cell does not know. It keeps dividing. First, it is localized. When it spreads, it is called metastatic cancer. You die. Once it starts spreading in your body, your average extension of life is 3.7 months. I don't see how I will be able to avoid that if I am 90, 95. Because every incremental day I am living, I am causing more DNA damage to me. So when I wear that lens, whether you take Brian Johnson, whether you take Dave Asprey, David Sinclair, they all feel somewhere science will have an answer. And I'm very happy that if they figure it out, I will participate. As of now, I'm a very big skeptical on that. What I am very, very hopeful is we are now moving in the age of precision and personalized medicine, what Peter Attia calls medicine 3.0, where you can measure everything, you can monitor everything, you can upgrade yourself, provided you have the willingness to do that, right? There is so much of data now available, whether it is CGM, whether it is sleep, whether it is blood work. It is making you more research is happening on products, on sleep, on gut health. So we have enough tools now to live healthier. Now, byproduct of that is you will live longer. The point is, as I said, I want my last decade to be my best decade in terms of health, physical health, cognitive health, and emotional health. Now, if I am somebody who at the age of 75, my blood glucose is below 100, fasting blood glucose, if my triglycerides are in level, if my waist circumference is not gone, I am still exercising, I am still lifting weight 3 times a week, chances are I will not get all of these diseases, or I will not die from these diseases. I may be able to delay it by a decade. Sure. So if you focus on health span, lifespan is a byproduct. The likes of Brian Johnson, Dave Asprey are too heavy, or David Sinclair are too heavily focused on lifespan, where I feel that I want to buy insurance. They are not buying that insurance. What is that insurance? That if for some reason science or technology doesn't break through, then your last decade will be your most miserable decade. I don't want that. Baki, it's luck. So from that point of view, I am a different, I am a Peter Attia school of thought believer.
Got it. No, those are very refreshing thoughts. Thank you so much for sharing. As we conclude the episode, Prashant, I have like 2 final questions. One of the things that is common between the two of us, which I'm glad about, is Calcutta. But you worked in Kolkata, you're from Kolkata, now you stay in Bombay, of course. You spent years across the world and, in India, in Bombay now. What do you think about Calcutta? Where do you think it got lost?
What do I say? People ask me about Calcutta, and I just get so emotional about it because right, you can come away from Calcutta, but you can't take Calcutta away from a person. I think it's one of the most brilliant cities of the country, culturally so rich, literally so rich. Climate is great, quality of life is brilliant. When I look at that side of it, I just fall in love with that city. Abhi Durga Puja, I had gone to Calcutta, and every time I go to Calcutta, I again fall in love with that city. And the moment I turn a little bit right to the real side of it, when I wear the realist hat, I only feel sad and more sad. What is happening after the whole left rule for 30 years, Jyotiba Subudhadeva Bhattacharya, we all had a ray of hope with Mamata Banerjee coming from. When I say for us, I am talking about growth. I am talking about what we see in other parts of India, whether it is Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, Chennai, industrialization, more employment. I think Calcutta has just gone from bad to worse. And I now feel that left was better. I never thought in my life I would ever say that word, right? Her strategy is so interesting, so different. At least 40% of the population of Bengal now, I think, is Muslims, and Muslims will not vote beyond Mamata Banerjee. 20% are from slums; they will vote. So I don't see how this change is going to come over there. And वो बोलते हैं ना कि यार life's biggest reason for you to live is hope. I think I've lost hope in Calcutta when it comes to industrialization and growth. And every day I sleep praying that I hope I am wrong. And every time I go to Calcutta, I search for that grassroots where I get some inkling कि यार बदल रहा है.
But where did it get lost in the wave of industrialization? Forget industrialization, like new brands. There is no cult in Calcutta. Like you will not find a third wave in Calcutta. I'm not even talking new companies. I'm talking consumption is also, it pains my heart also. But considering you have this wealth of experience, right? This was not the case earlier. I think I have heard of a phrase that if you could build a business in Calcutta, you can build it in anywhere in the country, right? But beyond government, what do you think it didn't have?
No, I think the companies are wrong. I will not blame the city, because city is still a very, very thriving trading hub.
Okay.
It is the gateway to the northeast. It's not the Marwadis are ruling there. There is enough wealth, wealth over there. It's just that the companies are not betting because of what they are reading. So, for example, because I have worked with Kishore Biyani, all our first stores were in Calcutta.
Yeah.
Our first Pantaloons was in Calcutta. Our second Big Bazaar was in Calcutta. Central came in Calcutta. So we absolutely, and what we learned is when you embrace East, you will get the most loyal customer. Even today, after Pantaloons has been sold to Aditya Birla Group, we opened our first Pantaloons in 1997. We are today in 2024. So after so many years also, the best performing Pantaloon store is Gariyat, Calcutta. It has the highest sales per square foot than any Pantaloon store. So we learned that if you embrace Calcutta from a consumption point of view, it will not disappoint.
So consumption is there.
Consumption is there. You will have to give it the respect and go and open. And if you embrace that, the Calcuttans will give that love back.
Got it.
I don't think people in Calcutta are not drinking coffee. There's my friend has seeded a venture over there called Craft Coffee.
Oh, lovely.
It's
It's one of the best
brilliantly well.
coffee places in Calcutta.
Doing brilliantly well.
Yeah.
If they can do it, why not any other
brands.
coffee chain?
Yeah,
right?
Blue Tokai has 4, but I just felt that new brands were not enough. But coming
I
to
think it's a mistake. They should go to Calcutta.
They should.
And I'm saying experiment. Na? Open one store. If it is doing well, open more stores, right?
Absolutely. Because it worked in the old ages, it probably work again. One of the other things I wanted to discuss with you before we end is the fact that you've had the pleasure of working with some incredible people, and you mention that very often. You reference Kishore Biyani, you reference Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, of course, and so many others. I'd love for you to reflect on some of the other people that you've learned from over a period of time, and maybe just share what those mean. Because you mentioned Jignesh Shah in the past and many incredible people that you are surrounded by. So what does this look like?
So one is, and again, great question, Jivraj. Incredible amount of learnings from all these guys because they were all blue-blooded entrepreneurs, big risk takers. They could see things that nobody could see, right? Whether it was Kishore Biyani and even now, whenever the history of Indian retail is written, his will be the first chapter, name written in gold, Raja of Retail. His sheer ability to see that now this whole traditional retail will move into modern retail, people will embrace because we are a value for money society. The moment you open bigger stores, you will buy in scale. Scale will give choice to people, and in our bazaars are all about choices. Why we used to like doing bazaars in the olden days is now I'm giving you bazaar in a modern environment with aspiration and lower prices. But his vision, at one point of time, 70% of all malls that were coming up in India were signed by Kishore Biyani. He was such an aggressive guy that he said, yeah, I will not let a competition set in. A lot of reasons why he funded a lot of this through debt, which led to his debacle. But power of observation, we were talking. I am yet to meet a person in the consumer side who has a power of observation that mirrors that of Kishore Biyani. At the same time, humble enough to understand, yaar, ye meri galti thi. It was not somebody. He would never blame the customers. He will always blame his inability to read the customer, and he always say customer is always right. It was not about the rhetoric saying customer is always right. He believed that customer is always right. Come to Rakesh Bhaiya, his again ability to see things that we could not even vision. Why we? When Rakesh Bhaiya would meet Bhaskar Bhatt of Titan, and he would. So this is a time and an era when Xerxes Desai was the CEO MD of Titan, and Bhaiya had just put in his first round of capital in Titan. And we keep talking Titan when it comes to Bhaiya. The reason I'm not saying because of the wealth that he made in Titan, but his ability to see where Titan will go, where the management could not see. When Bhaskar Bhatt would come, he would plead Bhaskar Bhatt. So Titan originally was started as a joint venture between Tatas and Titco. He would keep saying, please take me to Ratan Tata. I want to convince him to buy Titco's stake. He said, you have no idea the amount of wealth Titan will create compared to us time with Tata, behemoths were Tata Steel, Tata Motors, and then TCS. He said, sabko bhul ja. He said, Titan, the kind of wealth Titan is going to create for you, all these will look very, very small in front of you because you are playing the demographic dividend play. That Tanishq had also not come. But Bhaiya could visualize what that trust in the consumption space can do. The moment they launched Tanishq, it was a game changer. Bhaiya tripled his bet. The amount of, so I'm saying their vision to see what even the runners of business can't see. And boss, Bhaiya always, if you see Rakesh Bhaiya's all interviews, whenever he is making a forward-looking statement, he will always end it with that, I reserve the right to be wrong. He always used to tell us, you invest in the realm of possibilities. Because you think something, it does not mean that will happen. And which was his biggest grudge with people who were treating him like a demigod. They would think that because Rakesh Bhaiya would have bought a particular stock, that stock will go up and the company will do well. No. He would keep educating. It's my guess. There is only 50% chance that I will be right. Exactly what Kishore Biyani used to tell us. Said every decision is a flip of a coin. Only 50% chance you will be right. He said, if that is the case, why are you afraid to take a decision? Only two things will happen. Either you are right, then great. If you are wrong, take the learnings and move ahead. Exactly what Rakesh Bhaiya used to tell us about mistakes.
I love that.
That please make mistakes, but ensure you make a mistake that you can afford. So that you live to make one more. So learn so much. Jignesh Shah, boss, people don't know about Jignesh Bhai. Because what he created as an employee from Bombay Stock Exchange to have now gone and, first he started Odin, which were trading terminals, which did very well, got him cash flow. He ultimately wanted to own an exchange. Then he started on the commodity exchange side. People don't know the history of multi-commodity exchange when Jignesh Bhai started. 4-5 people had got the license, including NSE. Both NSE was given a 2-year leeway even before they gave licenses to everybody else. It's a regulated business. You need a license. NSE didn't do anything because they were too busy with their equity because that was going through the roof. You got the license, the only guy today to have his own technology. He developed his own technology, which became his differentiator. He launched the exchange within 6 months of getting the license. But that was not all. In 7 years, he defeated 2 Chinese exchanges to become the number 2 commodity exchange in the world, with almost 87 to 90% market share. Where gold and silver, when we used to trade in gold and silver contracts, everything was ounce per dollar. He converted it into grams per rupee. Indian guys did not have to go and hedge in the US. Then he got into energy exchange. Even today, India Energy Exchange has a 95% market share. Then he got into, at one point of time, east of Suez, Jignesh Shah or FT had 9 exchanges.
Wow.
Singapore had 2 exchanges, SGX and SMX. SMX owned by FT 100%. Dubai was a joint venture with a ruler, 50-50. We had an exchange in Bahrain. We had an exchange in Mauritius. Again, his ability to take a risk and scale the business. And you come to FT. I was unfortunately the CEO and MD of FT for a number of years when Jignesh Bhai got into trouble. Our security, because these were exchange and data, was even better than the security at the airports today. In those days, we had those. He could see all of that. Samir Sen, you look at Samir, from an employee of... So Samir Sen, incidentally, was first employee of Kishore Biyani. Samir's father was Kishorji's godfather. Very, very close family friends. Went to US, did his studies, joined Goldman, was part of the IB team, became a managing partner there, then wanted to come into India, came into India in 2006. It's been 16, 17 years, and look at what is built with Everstone. Largest industrial warehouse developer in India. We are bigger than number 2 to number 7 put together. On the private equity side, we are the only ones who do control. We don't do any minority investing, and by far the most stable partnership that the country has seen on the private equity side. Then you look at climate impact. We are India's number 1 climate impact investors with 20 to 25% IRR. We don't do any ESG. It is pure climate. Beginning with only 2 LPs, Government of India, British government. Then we got all the other LPs. Today we've deployed $2.5 billion over there. Then we got into data center. Today we have a data center, I can't name the client, next to IKEA in Bombay. We are building one in Andhra Pradesh. Now we are building data center all across Southeast Asia. Then DSG, which you know very well. All of this over the last 15, 17 years. Every single Burger King was started as a greenfield by Everstone. Phenomenal learning from all of these. But my bigger learning in life beyond these people has been through books. I think my biggest teacher has been books. And I keep telling people that if you are not reading, you have no advantage over somebody who cannot read. It's Mark Twain's quote, not my quote. But books teach you so much. Just imagine, I was recently reading a book by Bob Iger on the entire journey of Disney, right? You are his decades, he's written it, you are getting days to decode that and learn from him. You read the book on Elon written by Walter Isaacson. I'm just saying what they can teach you. Jeff Bezos' book, he's not written, but book on Amazon. This book abhi recently Ashwath Damodaran wrote especially for your set of startup guys. He's written a book called Narrative and Numbers.
I've not read that. I'll catch
He's
it.
a godfather of valuation.
Yeah, of course.
He's now first time trying to tell people why narrative matters when you don't have a business. And he takes you to the Uber example.
I love that.
And so I'm just saying, so much to learn, right?
Yeah.
And every day somebody, that's my big problem with India. Here we don't write. All the wealth of experiences going away.
You convinced Kishore Biani to write.
Yeah. Kishorji, so in his first book, he thanks me for putting him to write, and I just wish he wrote more. Share our learnings because.
And even read more.
Reading more, I think it should be a non-negotiable. So, who are the two most successful investors in the world? Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger.
They read.
And both of them say their competitive advantage is reading.
Bill Gates still reads 50 books a year.
Yes. 100 books a year. Bill Gates has a 1 week retreat where he will take books and only thing he will do in these 7 days is read. There are two things you will see common across massively successful entrepreneurs. They sleep for 8 hours and they read.
Oh, love it. Yeah, I think Shane Parrish has this quote which says that I know a lot of successful people, but I know no successful people who don't read.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But this was lovely. So much that you have condensed, and thank you for sharing those learnings. It's been an absolute pleasure. I was also commending the fact that I think the way you have articulated things from health and fitness, which go into science, require a bent of mind and learning to a degree that is uncommon in the general narrative of even successful people, in my opinion. In the brief conversations I've had with the 200 actually people now. I do have a last question, Prashant. Sure. My last question is that you came from nothing. You mentioned this in the past. You had to build your entire life. You worked in retail, you built trust, reputation. You worked with the most successful investor the country has seen in the public markets. You tried an entrepreneurial venture which did not work, but you had the gumption to try it out. Now you are a partner at a VC, at a growth stage firm. You do content that is in the millions of followers and you get views in the millions every day with the reels that you put out. You've done everything, and I'm not appeasing you in any means because I don't have to, but I want to understand, how do you excel in all the things that you do? I genuinely want to know, and I would love if we can end at that note.
Yeah, it goes back to how we started the podcast, right? My activity value defines it. Just imagine if I have to tell you, Jivraj, you can do only 5 things in a day, right? Okay. The moment that came into place, that these are the 5 most important things to me, rest you delete. Right, and then when you have all the focus, what is flow? Flow follows focus. Flow is nothing but I'm not a believer of multitasking. I only do unitasking. So when you do one thing at a time, something that you love, you're putting all your attention and all your energy to this. You are just enjoying the process. Trust me, I'm borrowing MS Dhoni's quote over here. Yeah, my job is I am just married to the process. Outcome is, I cannot take even 1% credit for this. It is thanks to everybody, but my endeavor has always been to keep learning in things that I love. When I am spending time with my daughters, I am equally passionate when I spend time with them and things like that. So I think it all boils down to what you value the most. But more importantly, what Kishore Biani used to tell, in business, it is important what you not do than what you do. I think it's my life principle. It is more important what I don't do than I do. When you decide what you don't want to do, the clarity is so then you enjoy the process, right?
Enjoy the process, and take control of the inputs. I love that. Thank you so much, Prashant, for being on the show. I waited a long time to have you on, and you've been such a pleasure and delight to host. I have learned personally so much today about health, and I'm certain that anybody who's listening to this will have an incredible time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Jivraj. Thanks for having me, and hopefully soon again.
Yes.
Yeah?
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Hello. If you made it this far, you've probably watched the entire episode. And if you've done that, I'm really grateful. I and my team try to put in a lot of effort to ensure that we can bring the best quality content to you. So if you liked the episode, if you watched it thus far, my request to you is to share it with people, to subscribe to the channel, and to ensure that we can keep growing. We are everything and anything only because of you, our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll keep bringing to you amazing content. Cheers.